Hi, and welcome to the show, Spotlights on Students. It's a show for students by students. My name is Shelly, and today's show is about single-parent households and how the people who live in them are affected and the community is affected around them. I have many guests today that have either been raised by single parents or single parents themselves, and they're going to explain today what their situations are and maybe the struggles that they had to go through to make it through their life, or even watching their single parent raise them while they were going through the struggles. But before I speak with my guests, I want you to see what the word on the street is and how maybe people who weren't raised in a single parent household how they feel about this situation and what it might look like to them and what their opinions might be. And so I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you back here real soon. What happened?
Did you grow up in a single-parent household or a two-parent household?
I grew up in a two-parent household.
Two-parent households.
In a single-parent household.
Two-parent household? Two-parent household, and my parents divorced when I was like 14, and my mom was single after that.
Well, my parents were divorced when I was really young, about 8 or 9.
I grew up in a single-parent household.
And how do you feel that affected you in life?
It definitely gave me some really, really good morals, and it made me realize that family is very, very important. And, you know, it might be hard to have a perfect family life, but it is possible.
Not having both my parents there, I live with my mom, so I wasn't able to see my dad as much, and it was just hard to have to go back and forth for like holidays and weekends. And
it helped me in a way that I received the support from two parents instead of just one.
I really got to see like an example of a woman working it out on her own, like a single mom, because before we had two incomes and after that we had one.
Really, it's not so much how it affected me. I feel that how much it really affected my mom. So in a way, it made me more defensive, and it made me angry because my mom works so hard, yet she has no support.
Nope.
I had one friend who was in a single parent household. Everybody else that lived like in my neighborhood or went to my school had two parents. And when I was in high school, everybody that I can think of had two parents.
yeah, a lot of my friends did, and some of them didn't have the chance to go see their dad or their mom, and some of them were going back and forth more than I was, and some of them would leave the whole summer to go see someone in a different country or a different state.
So do you feel that a single-parent household is worse or better than a double-parent household?
In my situation, it was probably better because when my mom and dad were together, when I was really, really little, they were always fighting. So it wasn't the best thing. So in that situation, it's better. But then also I wasn't able to go ask my dad for help on homework, only my mom. And some things my dad would know better than my mom would, and vice versa with other things. So it would have been nice to live with them if they could have got along.
I think the communication in the single parent household was like better. I feel like I talked to my mom more and was able to understand what was going on in her life, and she was able to understand what was going on in my life. I'm not sure if that was because I was just older and needing to talk about those things and wanting to talk about those things. But that was definitely like my experience, being able to just like share with my mom all the time, you know?
Now, if you have children and you have to raise them in a single-parent household, how would you feel about that?
I totally would do the best of my ability to be able to raise them well in a single-parent household, and I know that I could do it because I love children so much.
I think that we were made to have someone we love next to us, supporting us and helping us. And so I think I'd prefer a father and a mother because I think that's how it's naturally supposed to be, but it's not.
I will try to give it my best and support them in everything that I can.
I would feel good about it, I think. I want to have kids, and that doesn't necessarily include sometimes like a partner.
Hi, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I did. And today I have Dominique and Eric on the show with me. Thank you guys for coming.
No problem.
And so tell me a little bit about what your house life what your life looked while growing up.
Well, it was me and my dad and my grandma for the most part, or me, my dad, and my stepmom. So it was never really him by himself, but yeah.
And what about it?
I think it's the same thing except flipped. My blood father left a while back when I was like 4 years old, and then after that, I think my mom got remarried when I was 6 with my stepdad that is now no longer my stepdad because they divorced when I was like around 12 or 13, and so it's been kind of back and forth.
And how do you feel that affected you with the other parent that's not around, not being in your life?
Well, I think like it didn't really affect me that much because I was just like used to it. Because like I didn't really know that like my mom existed until I was like 14. So everything that happened up until that point, I was just used to.
What about you, Eric?
I think
How did it affect you?
I think that I don't think it really had a huge effect on me. Just by the fact that he wasn't around, you know, like I was just used to him not being around, so I was kind of cool with that, and like I thought about it every once in a while and thought like, you know, it'd be cool if I saw him, and I wanted to, but I mean, like, what are you gonna do? He wasn't around, so it didn't make like a huge impact on me, I don't think.
So how do you feel this has changed you as a person, having Dominique, not having your mom, and Eric, you not having your dad around? How has this changed you as a person?
I think it's just made me more independent as a person because I didn't have like my mom to like rely on and tell me like all the like girly things, quote unquote. So other than that, like I said, just made me more independent and like do things for myself.
It did affect certain insecurities in me as far as like people wanting to be close to me and feeling like I was undesirable and people didn't want to be around me. And I think that was a big effect that it had, especially when I was younger and I was trying to figure out who I was. And that happened a lot when I was in middle school and in high school. So.
Nice. So how did watching your parents struggle or not struggle, how did that make you feel more responsible? Dominique, you said that made you be more independent towards yourself. Mm-hmm. How did that be perceived through your eyes?
Well, because my dad was always paying more attention to like my stepmom or something like that. Like I had to be independent because like the time was never really spent on me. It was spent on somebody else. So I just kind of got used to it and went with it.
I think, I'm sorry, could you say the question again?
How did watching your parents struggle while they were a single parent, how did that affect you, or how did you feel more responsible for that?
I was a pretty lazy kid. I didn't want to do much around the house. I did do some stuff around the house, but my mom, looking back, was a soldier. She pushed through everything, through months with child support, without child support, and I didn't necessarily see it then because I was really innocent and I didn't see the world for what it was. I just saw my mom and I knew I had a house and food on the table and I was like, you know, cool, that's how it's supposed to be. But I didn't see the struggle, and looking back, I really admire my mom for how much she went through and how hard she worked. It really was inspiring, and it is today, especially now going into the field of like having to work and knowing the value of money, like actually learning that and paying bills and seeing really how hard it is. It's really inspiring to see what my mom did and accomplished by herself with little to no help from anyone.
So you appreciate her much more. It's kind of like
yeah.
It's kind of growing up and appreciating them more. It's always great. During your personal experience, how do you feel that this may have like given a better outlook on some other things in life?
Well, I guess it's just made me a stronger person, being in the household that I was in, because I know that, like, if I hadn't have grown up in that situation, that, like, I wouldn't have gone through some of the things that I went through, but I wouldn't be the person that I am today, and I probably wouldn't have, like, the confidence that I do now.
I think that my outlooks would, I think honestly I'm just more realistic. I think that because of that, it's really a lot easier for me to understand that people don't always end up together, that relationships do go wrong, that not everything is always a fairy tale ending. In fact, it's rare, if ever. You always have to work in relationships. And sometimes people aren't willing to put in the work that's required. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. It just means that it got hard and things happen and people are human. And I think that, along with having relationships with people and just in general, I think that it's made me a lot more realistic and just have a better understanding of the world and of people.
So what do both of you have, what kind of advice do you guys have for maybe towards young adults who may get into a situation as becoming a single parent?
To just, like, seek support, and really just to stay protected. There's so many different types of protection out there. Like, there's dental dams, condoms, female condoms, all kinds of things. You just have to know where to look, and you can get them for free in lots of places.
I concur. I think that honestly, after talking to my dad, he's having some money issues right now, and he went back and he showed me all the months that he paid child support, and sometimes twice in a month, and he still owes a lot of child support, and it's crazy the amount that you have to pay every single month, and like it all happened because of one decision. And my parents had, I know I probably shouldn't get too much into detail, but they'd done that plenty of times before, but it was just that one time, and that's all it took. Bam, here I am, and he's thousands of dollars in debt, and it follows him everywhere. Sometimes he can't get jobs, sometimes that he owes money, so it limits the things that he can do. So I would say definitely make it a priority to if you're determined, wear protection. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. Just make sure that regardless, you're taking care of yourself, because you can end up with at a point where you made one small decision that will affect you for the rest of your life, and that will follow you for the rest of your life.
Well, being raised in a single parent household and being a single parent myself, I understand both situations, and I do very much concur with my two guests. The protection is the best thing, but hey, if you have a child and you're on the way, do what you need to do with resources, not just follow through with what you need to do. And sometimes you got to take a different road, and sometimes those roads are good and hard and rocky. So I want to thank my guests for coming on the show. I'm glad you guys came. Thank you guys for your input and maybe telling your story. And right now I'm going to let you see someone else's input and maybe how her road went different. She's a mom of one child and married into 2 other children. So hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you back here real soon.
I used to drink booze, smoke marijuana, party all the time. Got kicked out of my mom's house a few times, and I was not on a very good path. He made me change in positive ways because I want to be a good example for him, and I don't want him to be the way I was, so I changed myself in many positive ways. I wish we had the same ideas of parenting, rules, restrictions, acceptable and unacceptable behavior. And he thinks I'm a square because I'm not the way I was when we first met. And so that's okay with me. Anya is 8 years old, Alyssa is 6 years old. When I met them, they were 4 and 6, and I take care of them, get them ready for the day, do everything I would do with him, basically. But it's hard going from an 18-year-old careless partier to 19 and then pregnant with 2 stepchildren and 20 with 3 kids. To have strong values and morals and to be patient with your children, because a lot of the world and the parents in the world are young and they don't really have that. I hope to teach them about God, and loving God, respect. I plan on teaching him values and morals and love and compassion, so that way, if in any way he can affect the world in a positive way that we don't have. I'm trying to find a place right now. We have awesome support from my boyfriend Dominic's mother, which a lot of people don't have, so I'm grateful that we do. But also trying to find a place that'll hold 5 people on the kind of income that I do have with the minimal hours I do have. It's been rough to deal with and to, adapt to, but it's not impossible. So.
Hi, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. I have 2 new guests on the show with me, and have Lori and Kiara. Thank you guys for coming. And why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about your household and what it looked like?
I have 2 daughters, and I've raised them all by myself for like the last 15 years, and one is 16 and one just turned 20 on Saturday.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
What about you, Kiara?
I have a 4-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm. And well, both of you are single parents,
Yes.
and so what kind of struggles did you have to go through while raising your older children, and Kiara, you raising your 4-year-old right now?
It was real hard at the beginning. Their dad didn't want to pay child support, so I had to work 3 jobs for probably about good 3 years. And then I finally went after him for child support and started getting it. And I'd get it some months and some months I wouldn't. So it was a struggle. It really was. It's easier now. He does pay right now. He has no choice. And it's gotten much easier since I've gotten older, but it was a long struggle for a long time. It was.
For me, it was definitely also a struggle in the sense of financial and emotional, having to go through, having a new child and not being with my significant other and having to deal with him moving on and me being left with a baby per se. And so having to deal with that emotional aspect and then financial, not being able to support myself. And then also I was in school full time from the time she was born up until this year. And so that was the longest struggle that I would say I've gone through.
So it definitely sounds like both of you guys have been asked or been applying for maybe child support or some kind of government assistance. Tell me how you feel about that, maybe the experience you've had to go through.
It's hard. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of being upset and crying and just waiting for help and wanting help, and you worry about how you're going to put food on the table, pay the bills every month. You get them paid, 1 month, and then they're due again, and it's just a real struggle. And like child support helps you, the state will help you get your child support, but it takes forever. And some months you get it, some months you don't, and it's just a struggle of worrying about it every month, if you have that money coming in or not.
Definitely for me, I only got on it because my mom forced me to. That's because I was living with her at the time, and so, she definitely wanted me to get on there. And once I did it, I was having to deal with hearing his mouth of, why are you putting me on it? But if he wasn't, contributing, I can't do everything on my own. So I finally did it, and it took a while to kick in. And so my main struggle after that was just, you can't depend on it. So it could come 1 month and not be there the next month. And so it was just kind of like a present if you happen to get a little payment, So, and it might not have always necessarily even been the full amount that you're supposed to get based off of where they were working at the time. And so
It sounds like a big hassle, something I'm learning now, being a single mom and just now applying for child support. And my son's 3 years old, so it's very difficult. What are your feelings towards maybe the child support office or government assistance? You might have gotten government assistance too, but what was your feelings towards that, and have they changed?
I think they've gotten worse as far as trying to collect your money. They will take the dad gets behind, they will take his license. And that doesn't make sense because if he has a driving job, how is he going to work? So then you have to argue with him to give back the license, let him get caught up on the child support. And it's just always a hassle. It just is. You don't know what month he's paying, what month he's not paying, what month he has paid and they've held on to. And if they've released it yet, it's just every month it's just a different story.
For me, I would say that it's been, with child support and any government assistance in general, it's just been a negative experience for me. I feel like when I go into that office, it is just the most negative experience I've had. I feel like they judge, they judge everyone based off the fact, oh, we see you have a kid, and, they don't just really assist you. I've, applied in the past for CCAP, so it's helpful with the daycare and things like that, and they don't pay for school, so I had to figure out how to work my way around getting assistance with childcare when I was in school and not just working. And so I feel like as far as with the government, they just need to kind of not really stereotype every single person. There are people that are trying to better their lives, and then they need to just help them, get to where they need to be as much as possible.
It definitely does feel like when you walk in that place, they look like you have a disease,
Yes.
you were like the worst person that they can see walk in there. And going through this experience now, I mean, just yesterday I had to go through an orientation, and it was the worst experience for me. And so what kind of advice, or maybe would you give other parents that would help them along their process in this?
It just takes time, and you have to do it. You need to do it. It's just too hard out there anymore to do it on your own. And there's no reason the other parent shouldn't. And it could be a woman, it could be a guy. And they should help. And you just have to, it's something you have to do.
I definitely agree with that. And my whole main reason behind the child support was not necessarily because you can't count on it, was receiving the money, but the fact that that other person needs to be responsible for their part in making a child with me. And so, I mean, definitely the advice I would give is, do everything you can to, get to where you need to be, whether that be applying for assistance. And I mean, it's hard, but eventually you'll get there,
So throughout your time of being a single parent, have you had any positive experiences, whether it be with child support or government assistance, or maybe someone extending their hand and helping you with that?
Yeah, family and friends, I mean, they step in. And just being a single parent makes you feel better. And my kids grew up well, and I think they appreciated the fact that I was a good mom. I am a good mom, I hope. And that we did do it on our own without the dad. And they still see him and everything, but it was just us girls. It was us three for the last 15 years, and it all worked out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Family and friends, as my mom was a big help and still is. And so it's just, you need as much support as possible, whether it just be somebody watching your kids so you can go to work, or watching them so you can take a little break. Like, you need as much help as possible, and so that's what helped me make through it. And Jesus, I prayed a lot.
Yes.
So
So you say your religion helped you a lot.
yes, definitely.
That's good. Lori, this is mainly towards you. What kind of advice would you give younger parents, such like myself? What kind of advice would you give someone like me?
To make sure that you get help, go for child support, or try to talk to the dad and see if you can get. It won't happen. You won't get it every month from him. You will have to go through the state, or a lawyer or the state. The state's free, so I say go through the state and let them go after him for child support, and just pray that you get it, and keep doing what you can do as a single mom and love your kid. That's all you have to do. Lots of love.
Lots of love, lots of love.
That's it.
Is there any personal experiences throughout both of this is for both of you, throughout this time period of being a single parent that you would lighten upon and you would consider to be very positive?
Just that I have 2 wonderful daughters, and they turned out great, and they do good in school. And it's all worked out pretty well. We've had our arguments and our fights, but it's worked out pretty well, and I think I have 2 great kids. Wouldn't give them up for the world, no matter how hard it was.
I would say that life is an adventure, and you never really know what's going to happen. And so you just kind of have to embrace everything that comes along the way. And I love my daughter. She's crazy, but I love her. And so, I just embrace the whole experience, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Future seems pretty outstanding and pretty difficult to handle, and especially for a single parent like me. I have a 3-year-old son, once again, and I'm just now learning that it's a lot more difficult than I thought it was in the beginning. I had a husband, and I was going through a lot, and now I'm doing it on my own, and it's very difficult. But I want to thank you guys for being on my show, and thank you guys for coming, because insight is so much better than just trying to guess it on your own. And I want to thank my earlier guest for coming, and thank you for their stories, and the people who were on the streets. I want to thank them for doing this as well. And I just want to thank DOM and S.O.S, Spotlight on Students, for letting me do this. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the show just as much as I did, and we'll see you again real soon.
Yeah.